Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video where we just finished witnessing our first real next-generation looking game on the PlayStation 5. Epic Games revealed their Unreal Engine 5, and I have to say the graphics were mind-blowing. Now this is what next-generation games should look like, and the engines that will power the next-generation games are starting to appear, and the first one of substance is Unreal Engine 5. I have to say it looked quite photorealistic. Epic even said you'll be able to use cinema-like assets in Unreal Engine 5 on these next-generation consoles, and my mind was just blown. It really looked photorealistic. Now I know some of you came here just to see the demo, and I will leave that in the timestamp down below so you guys can skip ahead to that. I just want to talk a little bit on what we saw today. Now I think this is a real generational leap over what we have currently. I haven't seen anything that looks like this that's not CGI. Now this was in gameplay, or what the engine is capable of doing, and it was really impressive. I know a lot of gamers right now are really excited for the PlayStation 5. In fact, I saw some comments saying that Xbox is taking an L on this. Oh, PlayStation 5 for the win. Now I have to clarify something here. The Unreal Engine 5 is not specifically, or I should say exclusively, for the PlayStation 5. It will be on the Xbox Series X as well as the Switch. Now I wouldn't expect this level of fidelity on the Switch, but the Xbox Series X, the games will look like what they presented today, if not better, as the Xbox Series X has an advantage with its CPU and GPU as well as its bandwidth, and overall it's just a more powerful system. So whatever you're seeing for the PlayStation 5, expect it to look as good, if not better, on the Xbox Series X. Now I think this is a real game changer. They added a lot of features, so many features that I just can't get into it right now because I just finished watching the video and I wanted to share with my viewers my real-time reaction to seeing this trailer, and I was just I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Now lately I've been a little bit disappointed with the next generation showings. Microsoft's showing last week, it wasn't too good, to be honest with you. There was a few games there that looked well, but nothing that really screamed next generation. When we saw the Unreal Engine 5 running on the PlayStation 5 today, it definitely screamed next generation. They were talking about how many triangles they could render on the screen at one time, all of the new effects, and like I said earlier, adding movie assets to the game. This is something incredible. I think next generation is going to be fantastic. I have a lot more faith in what we're going to see next generation now after seeing the Unreal Engine. I can't wait for all these other studios to start revealing their next generation engines. I really do think it's going to be a graphical leap, and I also hope that they will bring up the frame rates as well. Yes, I want my games to look good. I want them to look realistic. I also want a 60 frames per second mode, and let's not get confused here by all the bells and whistles that we're seeing at this 4K render, because we need 60 frames per second. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this was actually taken in 30 frames per second. Well, at least it was rendered out at 30 frames per second. That's what I captured on the stream, and unfortunately it wasn't 60 frames per second. Now I hope that most developers concentrate on 60 frames per second, as this generation gamers have been stuck with 30 frames per second for the majority of their games, and 60 frames per second should be the minimum standard for the next generation. Now if you want to have a 4K 30 frames per second game that looks beautiful, I have no problems with that. Just make sure there's also a 60 frames per second mode enabled. Epic also announced that the Unreal Engine 5 is coming to Fortnite, and I think that's pretty amazing as well. Now Fortnite is a pretty good game. It's fun to play with the kids. It's not really my thing to play. The kids, they love it. However, it's a very popular game. Now this engine I think is going to revolutionize the industry just like it did in the 360 and PS3 era. I think we're going to see a major difference going forward using the Unreal 5 engine. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll probably do a video another day where I dig into what we actually saw, the footage, all the new features. Like I said, I just wanted to give you guys my raw reaction to what we saw today. So I'm going to show the trailer just about now, and I'm going to ask you guys to leave your comments down below on what you saw today, if you were impressed, if you're going to get a PlayStation 5, if you're going to get an Xbox Series X. Also hit the like and subscribe button and enjoy the trailer.
Truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls, or memory. You could directly use film quality assets and bring them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data, without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of Unreal Engine running live on a PlayStation 5.
Awesome, let's take a look at it.
This has to be the right way.
Before we continue, let's stop a moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo. Much of what you see was built with Quixel Megascan assets, but instead of using the game versions, we used the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film. There are around 1 million triangles each, and thanks to virtual texturing, they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly. There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles. What does that many triangles look like? This isn't noise. These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise. Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel, which means triangles are often the size of pixels. This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too. Speaking of lighting, all of the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic, with the power of Lumen that even includes multi-bounce global illumination. No light maps, no baking here. Without GI, all of that beautiful lighting is gone. With Lumen enabled, we can move the light and the bounce changes instantly. Okay, let's keep going. We've made some great additions to our audio system as well. Convolution reverb allows us to measure reverberation characteristics of real spaces, like actual caves that we sampled, and reproduce them in virtual spaces. Sound field rendering allows us to record and playback spatialized audio. All of this adds up to a more immersive experience. This swarm of bats was created with our Niagara effects system. Particles in Niagara can now talk to one another and understand their environment like never before. We've also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below. The demo runs on our Chaos Physics system. Here we are using it to accurately simulate the rigid bodies of the falling rocks and the cloth of her scarf. Now that the environment is so complex, we've needed to greatly improve our animation systems to adapt. We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping, which dynamically modifies IK and body position to look more natural. For the character to more realistically interact with the environment, we've added the ability to trigger seamless contextual animation events, like her hand on the door.
Looks promising.
Dynamic GI is amazing, not just for speeding up iteration, but also for its impact on gameplay.
Nice.
Any light
Looks-
source can move while
it
still
might
having
be.
beautiful bounce lighting. Dynamic illumination means specular as well, which you can see on all the metal surfaces. You can even see the Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light. Lumen not only reacts to moving light sources, but also changes in geometry. Remember we mentioned high poly assets? This statue was imported directly from ZBrush and is more than 33 million triangles. No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs. And we can do more than a single statue. There are nearly 500 of that exact statue at the same detail level placed in this room, for a total of over 16 billion triangles from statues alone. Over this entire demo, there are hundreds of billions of triangles. Nanite, you have limitless geometry, and with Lumen, you have fully dynamic lighting and global illumination, all running on a PlayStation 5.
There's not much time left.
And this doesn't need to be constrained to small rooms. It can stretch all the way to the horizon.
The portal, it's open. Don't fail me now.
It's time to see what's next.